Good morning and welcome to the Sierra Nevada Gold Investor Webinar. All attendees are in a listen-only mode. If you'd like to ask a question to the company, please enter it into the Q&A panel within Zoom. I'll now hand over to Sierra Nevada Gold Executive Director, Peter Moore. Please go ahead, Peter.
Thanks, Nathan. Welcome everybody to the Sierra Nevada Gold webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to primarily discuss in a little more detail the recent project one in Saudi Arabia at Safra, but I'll also give you a little bit of background on the company for those who are not familiar with Sierra Nevada Gold. Sierra Nevada Gold's primarily operated for the last 3 years in Nevada. We listed on the ASX in 2022 to raise funds to explore 4 projects that we had at that time in Nevada, which is a tier 1 mining jurisdiction. You can see on the map on the right the scale on the various trends there: Eureka Trend, Battle Mountain Trend, and the Walker Lane Trend, in which we're significantly active. When we first got involved here in 2011, there was relatively little work going on. These projects are all advanced exploration projects with over 20 million US spent on them. We have plans, they're all gold, silver. There's gold, silver, and copper down in the south here at the Black Hawk Porphyry Epithermal Project. That's a copper and gold project, and also a high-grade epithermal gold-silver vein system, which is highly prospective for silver and gold. So that's an exciting project. Our flagship project is Warrior. That'll be drilled in April. We plan to drill about 5,000 metres into Warrior. We've got some significant discovery holes there that we need to follow up, and that's very exciting. New Pass is the high-grade vein system in an old, a part of it is in an old historic mining camp that we are reopening the mine and going to do some test mining starting in April next year to test the grade of the veins. Veins run about 18 to 20 grams per tonne. So it's an exciting area. We're not neglecting this with our expansion into Saudi, but the important thing here is that the field season here is in the summer, and whereas in Saudi it's in winter, so it allows us to work year round, which I think is a benefit. We've got a big land package, and it's it's a really strong set of projects that we have significant interest from now with the change in the gold price, with North American companies getting involved in some of these projects as partners. Why Saudi Arabia? We first got involved last year in this bidding process in Saudi Arabia. The government has backed a growth vision to transition the economy in Saudi more towards away from oil and more towards other opportunities. Mining is a strategic pillar of this vision and a part of the economic plan. Mining is a long-term national priority, and the government's committed to a process of transparent bidding on various exploration packages within the kingdom. On the map on the right shows the Arabian-Nubian Shield, which also extends on this side over to Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, etc. But very poorly, not much going on over there due to the geopolitical issues. But in Saudi, there are a number of good mines there. It's highly prospective and always been regarded as highly prospective for mineral exploration. Unfortunately, in recent times, the availability of land has been the issue, and to get access to exploration ground has been exceedingly difficult. The Jabal Sayed is the most recent mine, which our Executive Director and Chief Geologist Brett Butman involved in developing that project for Citadel Resources in the early 2000s. That is still operating, and it was our involvement in that, or Brett's involvement in that gave us a good run into this latest process. The government has set up an auction process for projects and exploration ground in Saudi. We have been approved as a qualified bidder in that process, and we've been bidding on projects. We're the only US company involved there, and we've been bidding on projects for the last few months. We've bid currently on 3 projects. The latest project was at Safra, which is located here in the middle, which we recently were notified last week that we'd won that bid. And the government is really committed to supporting companies in getting exploration on the ground and bringing their technical expertise, which is obviously what we offer and one of the reasons why we've been successful. It's highly prospective is the message there. The Asafra project itself, large-scale opportunity. We won 5 blocks. The blue lines here show the extent of the blocks. It's 375 square kilometres. And you'll note in the middle, this is a historic zone, primary focus of the area, because this was ancient copper workings. We think probably from the Bronze Age, in fact, where only copper in excess of 10% was mined. So super high grade. In recent times, a lot of strong gold values. Important, the takeaway here is, though, it's a large area. There's lots of prospectivity outside of this main area, but this obviously will be our initial focus. You can see here these red dots are further copper prospects around. That's 5 kilometres across there. So there's plenty of opportunity for other areas, but we'll be focusing initially on the ancient areas. Drilling 7 holes were drilled in 68, 69 by the BRGM, the French, with geophysics, geochemistry and trenching data available. Brett's done a full review of all this data prior to and worked on this project previously and has determined, obviously, that it was highly prospective and a good project for us to get into. The drilling historically that's been done was 2,000 odd metres, and you can see some really good copper values, 5 metres at 4% from 122.24 at 1.69 from 146, etc. So that limited drilling has really given us a lot of confidence that a decent drilling program here will yield some fairly positive results. Extensive rock chip sampling, which I'll talk about in the next slide, up to 444 grams per tonne gold and 11% copper from mine dump sampling, and the old workings has been recorded. You'll see on this map the high-grade copper and gold rock chips over 5.5 kilometre length. Here in the centre area is the old workings. And when I say old, these are ancient Bronze Age type workings, which means that in order to extract it, it would have had to be high grade to bother. So it's super high grade, certainly at the surface. There were 368 samples taken by the BRGM in 2000. Copper up to 11%, gold, as I said, 244 grams. And as I said, the miners produced plus 10% ore. The zonation pattern suggests multiple mineralising events, so it's a significant mineral system, and it's been barely scratched, is the takeaway from it. There's high-grade mineralisation along strike to the north and to the south, and obviously this area, if you get a minute I won't read through them, but all of these high-grade areas, you can see the drilling into here, which was significant, into the sulfide zone. So it's barely been drilled, really, just mainly the old workings here and a little bit northeast of that zone. You can see there's a southern copper zone down here. There's a gold-rich zone in the middle, another central copper zone in here with the old working zone, and north of the old workings is this gold-rich zones, with grades all around, 30 grams to 10 to 30 grams. So very exciting, and this is really the key slide showing the work that's been done, and all that, though that's limited, certainly it's begging to be drilled in our view. Just a little bit more on the exploration and the upside. This shows the IP geophysics that were conducted historically. That was in the 90s, so quite old data. But what is really significant is the correlation between these red areas here, which are the highly chargeable zones in red, correlate really well with all of the high-grade sampling and drilling. And we know that indicates sulfides at significant at depth, and as I said, none of this has really been tested. So we propose, it's encouraging because this shows us that the IP is really effective in identifying these potentially mineralised areas, and we already had tenders out for an extensive IP program to start in the first quarter next year on this area. So we'll be generating plenty of drill targets to go on with. And the system, importantly, is open to the north and the south. So, it's really an untouched, old, high-grade copper gold project. Gold wasn't really looked at until 2000 as an option that wasn't mined by the ancients. So most of the targets remain sort of untested by drilling. With our new IP, there'll be plenty of drill targets, and really strong news flow because we will be drilling almost immediately, and that'll give us plenty of action for the market, which I think will be appreciated. Just to move, that's basically the project. I'll leave this slide up for the moment so you can look at those grades in more detail should you wish to, and I'll throw back to Nathan now and see if we field any questions that people might have.
Thank you, Peter. We've had a series of questions come through, so we'll just work through these. First one is, can you explain what drew you to bid for a project in Saudi and why this project in particular?
Yes, well, the bidding process for us is determined by Brett's research into projects that he knows of in Saudi, has worked on, or has actually done some of the drilling and exploration on. This was one of those projects. There are others that are coming up in subsequent rounds that we'll be interested in. We're not going, there's a lot of grassroots greenfields blocks available, huge blocks available. We're not bidding on greenfields exploration. We want advanced exploration projects, and this is one of those. And we have been on one or two others as well that we didn't win, but they would have been significant had we got them. But this is certainly a strong project, and there's other really interesting projects coming up going forward. And being an approved bidder, you have to be an approved bidder in order to participate in the process. And we've been successful with this one.
Thank you. Your next question. What is the process from here in terms of receiving a license and starting exploration?
Well, the process is the auction takes place. We get notified, which we were last week, that we are the winning bidder with a letter of award. So we've won the project. Now, Brett's involved with negotiations with the MMIR, which is the Ministry of Industry, Resources and Mining, who are running the process on the work commitment, the work program. And while that number is in general terms discussed when we bid, it's not determined really until this process is completed. We're in the process that we need to, in the interim, incorporate a Saudi company, a subsidiary, which we're in the process of doing, was completed, and we need all sorts of business licenses, which we achieved the other day, but also a lot of other licenses with various administrative departments in the Saudi government, most of which has been completed. So once that process is completed and the work programs finalised for the next 2 years, then we will do that. Importantly, the Saudi government offer incentives to explorers, and there is exploration refund for exploration costs of up to $2 million per block, and we've got 5 blocks in this process. So government is directly financially supporting the exploration, so it's feasible we get almost most of our exploration costs back from the government as we proceed.
Thank you. Next one's a two-part question. So when are you likely to start drilling it as Safra? And are you likely to secure a local partner at some stage?
The answer to the drilling question will depend a little bit on permitting and other matters and finalising registrations, etc. But we think the first half of next year we should hopefully be in a position to drill. There are also some environmental approvals that will be required. And then with respect to Saudi partners, it's no longer a requirement. There used to be a requirement that you have to have a Saudi partner in order to operate in Saudi. That's not the case now. However, there is a big one of the biggest mining forums in the world in Riyadh in January, which we'll be attending as a VIPs and as a booth holder. And so we have meetings already scheduled with lots of investors. There's a lot of investment money, we're told, in Saudi, and a lot of interest in Saudi investment companies investing directly in these projects in Saudi, and also potential for investment in our Nevada projects as well. So we'll be talking about all of those things at the conference, and we're already in discussions with a number of companies that are interested to get involved with us. So yeah, hopefully that will mature into something really positive.
Thank you. Next question. Are there any other well-known companies operating in Saudi, either Australian, Canadian, or American?
Yeah, most of the major companies are there. Certainly Hancock has been in the press. They've been bidding in earlier rounds on fairly large exploration areas in conjunction with Marden, the state-owned mining company. It's important to understand too, Marden previously held most of the ground in Saudi, and the reason it wasn't available to outside companies was that Marden had most of it locked up, but not much exploration took place. The government's now taken that ground off Marden, and that's the ground that's now being offered in these auction rounds. So it's certainly significant that it's available. So we've had Hancock's been in there, Ivanhoe, and many others bidding successfully on ground in the area. Barrick as well.
Thank you. There are no further questions at this time, so I'll now hand back to Peter for closing remarks.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. I hope that we've illuminated the potential and the opportunity in Saudi, and also highlighting the significance of our projects in Nevada as well. We think with the funding we've got in place now, we'll be able to get some serious drilling done next year on both Nevada and Saudi, and we're looking forward to some really strong results and reporting that to the market. So everybody who's attended, thanks for attending, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Let's hope next year's a great year for all.